Are you eating healthy, adding greens like spinach to your meals, and still feeling weaker, more fatigued, or even worried about your bone health? Because here's something most people don't realize. You can eat what looks like a perfect diet on the surface: salads, smoothies, leafy greens, and still be silently losing bone density, muscle strength, and metabolic resilience. That's exactly why osteoporosis continues to rise, even among people who think they're doing everything right. Now, here's the surprising twist. There is a vegetable, often overlooked, that may be significantly more powerful than spinach when it comes to building strong legs, improving bone density, and protecting you against osteoporosis. But this isn't just about one vegetable. Here's what's really going on inside your body. Bone loss is not just about calcium deficiency. It's about hormones, inflammation, insulin levels, and how well your body can actually absorb and use nutrients. You could be consuming calcium every day, but if your insulin is high, your vitamin D is low, or your gut isn't functioning properly, that calcium never makes it into your bones. Instead, it can end up in the wrong places, like your arteries. So in this video, I'm going to break this down for you like a whiteboard session. We'll uncover the real root cause behind weak bones and muscle loss, why spinach isn't the hero food you think it is, the powerful vegetable that supports bone-building pathways, and most importantly, simple, practical strategies you can apply starting today, because strong legs and strong bones are not just about aging. Bone loss is driven more by hormones than calcium deficiency. Most people focus only on calcium, but the real drivers are insulin, cortisol, and vitamin D signaling. These determine whether your bones build or break down. Spinach may not be as bone-friendly as you think. Yes, it's nutrient-rich, but it's also high in oxalates, which can block calcium absorption and limit its effectiveness for bone strength. The overlooked vegetable that activates bone-building pathways. There's a powerful vegetable, you'll see which one soon, that supports vitamin K2-related pathways, helping direct calcium into bones, not arteries. Insulin resistance silently weakens your bones. When insulin is chronically elevated, it disrupts osteoblast activity, bone-building cells, and accelerates bone breakdown. Your gut determines whether your bones get stronger or weaker, even if you eat the right foods. Poor gut health means poor absorption, especially for minerals like calcium, magnesium, and fat-soluble vitamins. Muscle strength and bone density are deeply connected. Weak legs are not just a muscle issue, they're a signal of declining bone strength and metabolic dysfunction. Let's start with the foundation, because if you don't understand this piece, everything else becomes confusing. Most people believe that osteoporosis is simply caused by not getting enough calcium. But here's what's really going on inside your body. Bone is not just a static structure. It's living tissue, constantly being broken down and rebuilt. Think of it like a construction site. You have two types of workers: osteoclasts. They break down old bone; osteoblasts. They build new bone. Now here's the key. Your hormones decide which workers are more active. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Imagine insulin and cortisol as the site managers. If insulin is chronically high, which happens when you eat frequent high-carb meals, sugary snacks, or processed foods, it sends signals that favor inflammation and breakdown. At the same time, elevated cortisol from stress, poor sleep, or blood sugar crashes further accelerates bone loss. So even if you're consuming calcium, your body is in a bone-breaking mode, not a bone-building mode. What the research shows is that insulin resistance is strongly associated with lower bone quality, even when bone density appears normal. This is why many people experience fractures despite normal test results. Now here's where it gets even more interesting. Vitamin D is not just about bones, it's actually a hormone. And without adequate vitamin D, your body cannot properly absorb calcium from the gut. So you could be eating calcium-rich foods every single day, but if your vitamin D is low, which is extremely common, most of that calcium simply passes through your body unused. Or worse, it gets deposited in soft tissues like arteries instead of bones. That's where problems like vascular calcification begin. So what's the solution? Let's make this practical. First, stabilize your insulin. Reduce sugar and refined carbs. Focus on whole foods, healthy fats, and protein. Consider time-restricted eating or intermittent fasting. Second, support vitamin D levels. Get regular sunlight exposure, especially morning sun. Consider supplementing with vitamin D3 paired with K2. We'll talk about that soon. Third, manage cortisol. Prioritize sleep 7 to 8 hours minimum. Reduce late night eating, incorporate stress reducing habits like walking or breathing exercises, because remember this, you don't build strong bones by just adding calcium. You build strong bones by creating the right hormonal environment. And if this is helping you see your health differently, consider subscribing. I break down complex physiology like this every day into simple, actionable steps. Now let's talk about something that might surprise you: spinach. For years, spinach has been promoted as one of the healthiest foods on the planet, especially for bones. And yes, it does contain calcium, magnesium, and important nutrients. But here's what's really going on inside your body. Spinach also contains a compound called oxalates, and oxalates can bind to calcium in your gut, forming crystals that your body cannot absorb. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Imagine you're trying to deliver calcium like bricks to build a strong house, but oxalates act like glue that sticks to those bricks before they even reach the construction site. Now, those bricks are unusable. They never make it into your bones. In fact, what the research shows is that the bioavailability of calcium in spinach is very low, meaning your body absorbs only a small fraction of it. So while spinach looks great on paper, it may not be doing much for your bone strength in reality. Now, this doesn't mean spinach is bad. It just means it's not the best tool for this specific job. And here's where people get stuck. They rely on foods that contain nutrients, instead of focusing on foods their body can actually use. Because in functional medicine, we don't just ask, what are you eating? We ask, what is your body absorbing? And where is it going? Now, here's another layer most people miss. High oxalate intake over time can contribute to kidney stone formation, joint discomfort, mineral imbalances, especially if your gut health is already compromised. So if someone is drinking spinach smoothies every day, thinking they're strengthening their bones, they may actually be doing the opposite. So what's the smarter approach? You don't need to eliminate spinach completely, but you want to rotate your greens instead of relying on just one lightly cooked spinach. To reduce oxalate levels, pair it with healthy fats to support nutrient absorption. And most importantly, that into ketones. Start incorporating vegetables that support calcium utilization, not block it. Because the goal is not just to consume nutrients. The goal is to direct those nutrients into your bones. And in the next section, now I'm going to show you the vegetable that does exactly that by activating one of the most powerful bone-building pathways in your body. Now let's talk about the vegetable that almost a body is paying attention to, but it plays a critical role in building strong bones and powerful legs. And that vegetable is cruciferous vegetables, especially broccoli, kale, and Brussels sprouts. But if I had to highlight one that stands out for bone health, it's broccoli. Here's what's really going on inside your body. Broccoli is rich in compounds that support vitamin K1, which your body can convert into vitamin K2, one of the most important nutrients for bone health. Now, this is where things get powerful. Vitamin K2 acts like a traffic controller for calcium. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Imagine calcium as cars driving through your bloodstream. Without direction, those cars can end up in the wrong place, like your arteries. But vitamin K2 acts like a GPS system. It tells calcium exactly where to go, to your bones and teeth, away from your arteries and soft tissues. What the research shows is that vitamin K2 activates a protein called osteocalcin, and osteocalcin is responsible for binding calcium into your bone matrix. Without K2, that process is incomplete. So even if you're taking calcium and vitamin D, you're missing the final step that locks that calcium into your bones. Now, here's why broccoli is so powerful in this equation. It not only provides vitamin K1, it also supports your liver, which is essential for converting nutrients into their active forms. Remember earlier when we talked about root causes? This is a perfect example. We're not just feeding the bones, we're supporting the systems that build the bones. Now let's make this practical. Here's how you can use this starting today. Add steamed or lightly sautéed broccoli to at least one meal per day. Pair it with healthy fats like olive oil or butter. To improve absorption, combine it with vitamin D sources, sunlight, or supplements. Consider adding fermented foods like sauerkraut or natto. These are naturally high in vitamin K2, and here's a key point to repeat. Calcium doesn't build bones on its own. Calcium needs direction, and that direction comes from vitamin K2. So when you include vegetables like broccoli regularly, You're not just eating healthy, you're actively turning on your body's bone building machinery. And if this is opening your eyes to how nutrition really works, consider subscribing. I break this down every day so you can take control of your health naturally. Now let's connect something most people never link to bone health: insulin resistance. Because here's what's really going on inside your body. When insulin stays elevated for long periods, from frequent eating, high sugar intake, or processed carbs, your body shifts into a storage and survival mode. And in that state, bone building is not a priority. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Imagine your body as a city managing its budget. When everything is stable, the city invests in long-term infrastructure, like building strong roads and bridges. That's your bone building phase. But when there's a constant energy crisis, driven by unstable blood sugar and high insulin, the city redirects resources toward emergency needs, maintenance stops, repairs slow down, and over time, infrastructure begins to weaken. That's exactly what happens to your bones. Now, here's the physiology behind it. Chronically high insulin. Increased inflammation disrupts the activity of osteoblasts, bone-building cells, promotes osteoclast activity, bone breakdown, so the balance shifts. Less building, more breakdown. What the research shows is that people with insulin resistance or metabolic syndrome often have poorer bone quality, even if their bone density scans don't look alarming. And this is why fractures can happen unexpectedly, because bone strength is not just about density, it's about structure, flexibility, and cellular health. Now, here's another critical piece. Insulin resistance also affects muscle strength, and weak muscles mean less stimulation for bones. Remember, bones get stronger when muscles pull on them. So if insulin resistance is reducing muscle function, you're losing strength on both sides of the equation. Now let's make this practical. Here's how to reverse this trend. 1. Control meal frequency, stop constant snacking. Give your insulin time to come down. Try 2-3 meals per day with no grazing in between. 2. Focus on protein and healthy fats. These stabilize blood sugar and reduce insulin spikes. 3. Walk after meals. Even 10 to 15 minutes can significantly improve insulin sensitivity. 4. Add resistance training, simple bodyweight exercises, squats, lunges, step-ups, directly stimulate bone growth. 5. Improve sleep quality. Poor sleep increases insulin resistance and cortisol, a double hit to your bones. Because here's the key point. You cannot build strong bones in a metabolically unhealthy body, and fixing insulin is one of the most powerful levers you have. Now let's go deeper into something most people completely overlook: your gut. Because here's what's really going on inside your body. You don't absorb nutrients based on what you eat. You absorb nutrients based on how well your gut functions. So even if you're eating calcium-rich foods, magnesium, vitamin D, all the right vegetables, if your gut is inflamed or imbalanced, very little of that actually makes it into your bloodstream, and even less into your bones. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Think of your gut like the root system of a tree. You can pour all the nutrients you want into the soil, but if the roots are damaged, weak, or inflamed, the tree cannot absorb what it needs to grow strong. And over time, it begins to weaken from the inside out. That's exactly what happens with your bones. Now, here's the physiology. Your gut lining is responsible for absorbing calcium, magnesium, fat-soluble vitamins like D and K, but when the gut is compromised due to processed foods, antibiotics, chronic stress, or high sugar intake, you can develop leaky gut, increased intestinal permeability, poor enzyme production, imbalanced microbiome, and this leads to malabsorption. What the research shows is that gut health plays a critical role in bone density through what's called the gut-bone axis. Certain beneficial bacteria actually help improve mineral absorption, reduce inflammation, support bone-building signaling pathways. So if your gut is unhealthy, your bones are operating at a disadvantage, no matter how clean your diet looks. Now let's make this practical. Here's how you start repairing and optimizing your gut for stronger bones. Add fermented foods daily. Examples: yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut. These introduce beneficial bacteria that support nutrient absorption, increase fiber from whole foods. Vegetables like broccoli, cabbage, and zucchini feed your gut bacteria. Reduce gut irritants, cut back on ultra-processed foods. Excess sugar and refined oils support digestion. Eat slowly, chew thoroughly, and avoid overeating. This improves enzyme function. Consider targeted support. Probiotics or digestive enzymes can be helpful, especially if you have bloating or discomfort. And here's the key point to repeat. You don't build strong bones just by eating better. You build strong bones by absorbing better. And your gut is the gateway to that process. Now let's tie this all together with one of the most overlooked yet most powerful connections in your body, your muscles and your bones. Because here's what's really going on inside your bow. DI bones don't just get stronger from nutrients. They get stronger from force, from movement, from resistance. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Think of your bones like a tree trunk and your muscles like the wind. If there's no wind, that tree never needs to grow stronger. But when wind consistently pushes against it, the tree adapts, it thickens, it strengthens. Your bones work the exact same way. When muscles contract and pull on bones, they send a signal, we need more strength here. And your body responds by increasing bone density. This process is called mechanical loading. Now here's the problem in modern life. Most people are sitting too much, moving too little, and avoiding resistance. So their bones are receiving the signal. We don't need to stay strong. We don't need to stay strong. And over time, they weaken. Now here's where it gets even more important. Weak legs are one of the earliest warning signs of declining bone health because the largest bones in your body, your hips, femur, and spine, depend heavily on leg strength and movement. What the research shows is that people who engage in regular resistance training have higher bone density, lower risk of fractures, better balance and mobility. And this is critical because falls, not just bone weakness, are a major cause of fractures as we age. So building strong legs isn't just about looking fit. It's about protecting your independence. Now let's make this practical. You don't need a gym membership to start. Here's a simple, effective protocol. Squats or chair squats, start with 1-0. 1-5 reps, 2-3 sets. This directly targets your hips and femur bones. Lunges or step-ups, great for balance and unilateral strength. Walking daily, aim for 20 to 30 minutes. This adds consistent low-level loading ab resistance. Gradually use body weight first, then progress to weights or resistance bands. Train 3-4 times per week. Consistency matters more than intensity at the beginning. And here's the key point to remember. Nutrition gives your body the materials, but movement gives your body the reason to use them. So if you truly want strong bones, you must combine both. Let's bring this all together, because what we covered today is far more than just eat this vegetable for stronger bones. Here's what's really going on inside your body. Bone health is not about a single nutrient. It's about creating the right internal environment for your body to build, repair, and maintain strength over time. We learned that it's not just about calcium, it's about hormones like insulin, cortisol, and vitamin D. Foods like spinach may look healthy, but absorption matters more than content. Vegetables lie. Cape broccoli support the pathways that direct calcium into your bones. Insulin resistance silently shifts your body into bone breakdown mode. Your gut determines whether nutrients are absorbed or wasted, and your muscles provide the signal that tells your bones to stay strong. So when you look at this from a root cause perspective, strong bones and strong legs are built through a combination of stable blood sugar, proper nutrient absorption, targeted nutrition, and consistent movement, not pills, not shortcuts. Now, here's your challenge. Don't try to do everything at once. Instead, pick one change from today's video. Maybe you add broccoli to one meal daily. Start a 10-minute walk after meals, cut out late-night snacking, or begin simple squats at home, and then track how your body responds. Because real health transformation happens when you apply, not just consume information. And remember this, your future strength, mobility, and independence are being built right now with the choices you make every day. So start today. Start small, but start intentionally. If this added value to your life, like the video and subscribe, and join a community of people who are taking control of their health naturally, one step at a time.